There we go. Get us going. So we are recording. Anna, welcome, welcome, welcome to our virtual summit on using leadership development to transform the educational world. And we're looking at specifically preschoolers and elementary ed. So I want to really thank you for joining us and being here with us today, and to ask you about what are some of the things that you're doing out there. Give us a little bit so we can learn more about you.
Hello, everyone, and thank you, Deborah, for this invitation to participate in this very important summit. And just before we start, I would love to do a quick shout out to Dr. Patty. I was present to the part of her interview, and I was sending like virtual heart hugs to her like all the time, especially when she was talking about compassion and connection, and of course this collaboration. So yes, I wanted just to say hi and express my appreciations to Dr. Patty.
Thank you. So Anna, tell us about yourself.
Of course. So my vision, Deidre, is to empower children to live up to their potential. I help children and parents build confidence, motivation, stress regulation, healthy habits through emotional intelligence, mindfulness, compassion, and leadership skills. I'm also a co-founder and managing director of a nonprofit learning and educational center in San Francisco Bay Area. And I've been working with children for over 20 years in different parts of the world. And that really brings me this broad perspective on how we all operate like children and us adults, what things we have in common. And, you're probably not going to be surprised. We have a lot of things in common.
I- And so knowing that, I'm going to ask you to kind of take a step above. So in order to empower children, I wrote some of it down, to live up to their potential. And then you talked about not only managing their stress, but just really living into who they get to be. What type of leadership skills do we as adults need to have in order to support children?
This is a 1 million question, Dedra. You know why? It's because, yes, everything starts with us, adults. And thank you for saying that. Because when we tell, like, why this generation is not this or that, why wouldn't we look and see what's happening with us, what's going on, what we are not giving or what we are not being, right? And so, yes, thank you for that. Um, I would love just to mention that when I talk about leadership, people are like, they have this maybe yellow flag because they think that the leadership leaders, those people who go on the barricades, or like they're fighters, or they're controllers, and they only do like, what they want to do. And yes, leadership is about social influence, and many of them are right. But there are a lot of other components to leadership. And first of all, it's self-awareness and self-regulation. And
Mm.
also it's know how to set goals, how to be efficient. It's about smart work, not hard work. It's know how to connect, how to solve conflict, uh, mindset, growth mindset, right? How to ask for support, how to receive and give feedbacks, and like there are different aspects to that. And what's very important is healthy habits, because when we like, I teach only what I practice, right? So when we don't pour into ourselves, we operate from the dry well. We can't actually give if we are depleted. So pouring into ourselves through self-love, through self-care, compassion, empathy, acceptance, right? It's very important because this is the pattern. This is actually, yes, this is what we teach our children, our students, right? The community.
Okay, so as usual, and I know I'm going to be doing this all day long, I'm going to be writing, furiously all of the things that have come up for me. And so let me just speak to everybody when I say this. First and foremost, this summit, if you haven't figured it out, you're probably coming to a realization, is very different than a lot of the other summits in that we're not spending a lot of time talking about skill sets, that we're actually talking about mindsets that Anna just shared a little bit about, and we'll jump into even more, because leadership is a state of mind, a way of being, and I cannot emphasize that enough. And so when we start stepping into this mindset, again, transformation happens. So Anna, this is I wrote down like 15 things. So I'm gonna try to take the highlights of them. One of the things that you talked about was self-awareness and self-regulation was huge. And we know with Dr. Patty a minute ago, she talked about that a little bit as well in terms of SEL. So right now, social emotional development is huge in our world. We're working with children, which is fantastic. And it's huge for us as adults. So when we talk about leadership training, we are also talking about SEL training for adults. So when you talk about self-awareness, self-regulation, one of the things that I share a lot about is refraining from emotionally vomiting on others. Right? So, meaning, I may be stressed out and I come into work and I'm like, ah, la, 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 oh my gosh, you wouldn't know what happened to me today. Blah, 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 blah. That's literally emotionally vomiting, and actually walking in and clearing, right? Taking those deep breaths, getting ourselves re-regulated, because life happens. We know that. So that when we walk in to our program, our building, our children, our families, with our colleagues, we're coming from a space of, okay,
Mm-hmm.
I'm ready to work and be present. And I'm not enrolling, which we talked to Dr. Patty about,
Mm-hmm.
I'm not enrolling others into my crazy or chaotic life.
Mm.
So I
Yeah.
love that you brought up self-regulation. What else did I
I would
write
love
down?
just to add to
Yeah,
that, Deborah,
add.
real quick,
Hmm.
that, when you started talking and you said, we work on our children, on their social and emotional development, I was like, pause here, because, um, but then you developed into us adults as well. Because when we work on kids, right, and we try to teach them something that we don't practice ourselves, well, okay, let's be honest here, right? We are all educators and parents, or I know if we're not, we see like neighbor kids. It's not about what we tell them to do, it's what they see us doing, right? And so, right, it's not like, I would love just to bring that light on this, that if you guys think that I'm going to teach my child emotional intelligence, it might not work, or it would work, but to a certain degree. So be aware, because if it doesn't start with you, and it's a big step forward. So if you choose to do that, know that you're taking the shift already, and that the life is going to be transformed already. You will see that easiness, that flow in your life. And yes, the emotions, they're so important. And like, we don't even have a definite definition of what an emotion is. What we know that we all have them. Some of us, we don't know how to deal with them. We get overwhelmed. And and I would love just to emphasize that all the emotions are good. we call negative emotions. I think we should call them strong emotions, right? And so, like here, you see like wheel of emotions, but know that there are 3,000 emotions, or maybe over. And in some cultures, some languages, there are emotions that we don't have in English. Like for example, in German language, there's an emotion. I'm not going to pronounce that term, but it says actually impatiently waiting for somebody to arrive, or for package for arrive, or for gift to open. Like something like specific. So there are tons of emotions and they are all here. So, but let's use them as a tool. So let's like um, know how to deal with them. So not they control us, but we know how to manage them. We know how to recognize them, and we accept them all. We accept them all. And emotions, they can be a weapon. Let's say anger.
Mm.
Anger, if you kind of feel this emotion on the energy level, it's a very strong emotion. And even if you see the body scan of an angry person, you see that a red um, spots in the hands and feet, right all over the face. Because when we're angry, we are ready either to fight or to run,
Mhm.
and often fight. And uh, and so when we suppress this emotion, it can be a weapon against us. This anger goes within us. We bottle all these emotions through the years, and one day just explodes. And how? Mental issues, emotional, or health issues. Uh, while when we know how to deal with them and recognize them and name them, this energy can be directed into creation. So when we teachers go to the classroom and uh, we kind of suppress our emotions, we don't teach our children how to deal with them. When we go there, when like something happened, something sad happened in the morning before we stepped into the classroom, and children feel that. I have a trainer. She said, children, they are truffle pigs. Like pigs who sniffle for truffles.
Yeah.
And you don't need to like okay, so let's uh just put that aside. They will know, they will smell it, they will feel it, that you are sad. So versus clearing the space, well, it's beautiful, but you come in and you say, oh, class, um so something happened, and just I just feel at this moment a little bit sad, and and right now I'm ready for work. Just acknowledging that, and so children, they know to do that as well, and they're not scared of those emotions, because we have
Yeah.
sometimes we have, okay, this is a bad emotion, don't feel that. Why are you crying? Why are you angry? Why? But angry is because we didn't teach the child to express it.
Absolutely. So let's explore this a little more because I am sure there are some people who are wiggling in their seats right now as we're talking about this because there's an idea around appropriately, right, sharing your emotions and inappropriately sharing your emotions. And so, what I love about this, and thank you, Lisa Jackson, by the way. Lisa put into the chat, it looks like a great handout for SEL for adults. So, appreciate the resource. So, so a lot of times when we talk about SEL, and we do this a lot with either like our second step or conscious discipline, or what's another one out there, pyramid model. There's lots and lots of different programs out there that we can refer to. And one of the things that we talk a lot about is just even emotional literacy. So, when we talk about this, and I'm going to connect this back to leadership, because we often, like you said, we come in and we teach children what we're not even doing ourselves. And I can just give us a great example. Everyone's going to know what I'm talking about when we say we work with our children around taking turns and sharing. That is an active thing that we do in our classrooms. Yet, I can't begin to tell you how many times we as staff have gotten into arguments or disagreements with our colleagues about sharing. I don't want to do this, or I don't want to share this, or, again, coming back and forth just around materials. And so when we think about emotional literacy, it's this idea of getting away from, the four biggest words. I always talk about, the sad, the mad, the glad, and what's the other one? Sad, mad, glad, and happy, or, like the what we call surface emotions, and really start digging into those more nuanced emotions like exhilaration or intrigue, right? Or overwhelm or frustrated. And here's one of the things that I want us to think about is that when we're really grounded in leadership, this is where the appropriate sharing comes up. Using your example, I'm a little sad today. I could use right. It could be a hug. I know, we're still in COVID times and what that looks like, or, um, or this is what I do when I'm sad. What do you do with your sad? That's appropriate sharing. What it does is it allows our children to see it because, like you said, they're noticing it anyway. Our children are biologically designed to be able to read emotions. So they're reading it. They're knowing it's there. We're not naming it. So it becomes this big thing, like the elephant in the room. And so by acknowledging it, we're helping our children to identify it for themselves and asking them how it shows up for them.
Because when we name the emotion, Dedra, when we name it, the intensity drops 50% down.
Say that again, Anna, because I think this is important for people to hear.
You were talking about the literacy of the emotion and being able. So first of all, we recognize it, right? We recognize by the body language, by facial expression, by the tone of the voice. We recognize it. Some people recognize more, some less. We are all individuals, right? So, and them name this emotion to you, to yourself, or to others, or say it loudly. Okay, I feel sad. Mm, I feel frustrated right now. And when you say that, the intensity drops down 50%.
Acknowledgement is key. And remember, it's not just the saying, but it's our body language. So we get to share with our children what happens when we're sad, what happens when we're frustrated, and how can we behave appropriately in those moments. Now, here's the connection to leadership is that we actually need to be aware. It can take us full circle to what you said at the beginning, self-awareness. We actually need to be aware of our own emotions so that we can recognize them and be able to speak to them. That is a part of leadership, is that self-awareness.
Of
It
course.
comes back full circle.
Yeah.
And
And
that, no, go ahead.
I just saw a message from Alana in the chat about the balance between the false positivity that seems to be encouraged by the overemphasis on to be positive messaging and being genuinely and appropriately able to express all emotions. And this is like, Alana, when you ask this question, I felt like butterflies in my stomach. This is so important because, yes, we are expected to be good. We expect our children to behave a certain way. We, um, you know, we probably were taught not to feel the feelings. And so right now as an adult, when we have this awareness of of this, of being, why I am often like pretend to be to be I don't know, to be positive, right? To be optimistic. when I don't feel that? So ask yourself this question, why? And see what comes up to you. So it may come up because you were taught this way, and or you don't allow yourself to express those other emotions. And when you answer that question, you can make a choice. Okay, my choice is to feel the feelings. You have probably heard about Mark Brackett, Dedra, Permission to Feel, professor from Yale University. He has an amazing book. And he's talking about the permission to feel. Let's allow ourselves to feel those emotions. Because I will just tell you real quick what happens if we don't. So we lie to ourselves, right? When we are not true to ourselves and to our values, and I think Dr. Padish was talking about standing in our values. When we don't are not true to ourselves, we have this, like accumulation of regrets. We have the accumulation of, not loving ourselves, right? Self beat up, and that translates into just physical illnesses, just into diseases that we create to ourselves with our mindset, right? And with us and not allowing ourselves to express ourselves. And and it's true. Then we have emotions. Let's feel that. Let's recognize it. Let's feel it, and know what to do with it. Like, so it's safe for ourselves and for the surrounding. It's not like, I feel anger and I'm going to break everything in the, I don't know, in the classroom. No, of course.
Yeah, and I'm going to piggyback on that. What a fantastic question, Elena, about that balance. And there's a couple of things. First, to piggyback off of what Anna was saying, is that what happens is two things. When we shut down or not express our emotions, or what you said, put on that false positivity, right? That, plaster the smile, and it's kind of like happy, happy, joy, joy, kind of thing, is that we're actually teaching our children to shut down their emotions. And we wonder how we've gotten to where we are today, where, as what Anna is saying, in terms of when we express ourselves, and again, it's always appropriately, it's describing the emotion. Gosh, I'm sad, and my heart hurts. That's expressing an emotion, and where it sits in our body, right? Or, oh, sometimes I get so angry and my jaws clench, right? And this literally teaches our children how it shows up in their body, so that they can recognize it. And here is the other thing, and it's not just for Alana, it's for all of us. And this is where leadership, again, goes all the way up and it comes all the way down. And I'm going to, again, connect it back to the vision and values, because I always do, of the organization or the program. Because somewhere along the way, there's something unspoken about who we should be within this organization or this program. And a lot of times it's even within the field itself, especially early childhood. We get to battle that, as opposed to being authentic. So when we're really living our values, we get to define, what does that look like? So when we talk about, and so many of us have like maybe three, program-wide expectations. A lot of them are values-based, like be respectful or be responsible. We get to talk about, what does that look like for us as adults, not just for children. So that when we're in our classroom or working with children or working with families, we can be authentic, because I think that's what you're speaking to, is how do we be authentic with our children, despite what the field or the pressures might be out there. So a
Yeah,
great, great, great question, Alana. Anna, you want
I
to
would love
jump
just
in there?
to add to that. I'm sorry to interrupt you, Deidre, just
Not
real
at
quick,
all.
because what came up to me is also why we're talking about false positivity, why we wouldn't be actually happy. I think that our journey in life is our journey. It's not like we run from point A to point B. I achieved my result, yes, and didn't even enjoy that. You went from point B to point C and like through the life rushing, rushing, rushing. So see, like when I see people who like who are not happy, it's because they are not living up to their dreams, to their potential. And that, as I said in the beginning, this is what my vision is actually to unveil, to see why, what's going on, what we're not allowing ourselves to do, what we're not allowing ourselves to be, so we are not actually happy. Because let me tell you guys, uh like I know that firsthand. When I'm doing something that I don't like, I can't be positive. I will be like, I will be that dark or gray cloud in the house, and well, you know what, like the whole house or the whole household suffers. So just I want to just kind of just like to drop this question in there. And as for the classrooms, that is like, it's always a why. So for me, why is, do we allow children to grow, or do we tell them how to grow?
Mm.
And so when you make your choice, your classroom environment will change. I worked with children from preschoolers to young adults, with adults as well in leadership, and I'm right now in the um, leadership program for teenagers, and my school runs from preschool to like uh, you know, pre-K to 12, like high school. And so I tell you guys, we don't have to tell them how, because we sometimes don't know. We think we know, but they know it better. So when I hire teachers, I tell them we are not their instructors. We create the space for them to grow. Meaning, if they have an interest in something right now, we provide all the resources. If we see a talent that's opening up, we nourish it. If we see a gap in somewhere, like like we see that, for example, child is angry or there are like power struggles, what do we get to do to uh you know to fill that gap, to pour into the child? So because this is the foundation of really emotionally, mentally, and a physically healthy human being. If we pour into our kids the knowledge, academics, etc., it's good. But if we don't know what to do with this knowledge, we feel unrealized. And I don't know how about you, but in my surrounding, there are people with masters, PhDs, uh, tons of certificates. And when I think what they could give to this world, but they don't, because of doubts or lack of confidence, because they don't allow themselves, right? Because somebody told them not to, or like, or they think, well, whatever reasons, I would don't have, like, it's individual. Like I wanted just to drop this why. And for me, why is to allow the child to grow and not to tell how.
I love that, Anna. And I know as we start wrapping up, so many fantastic things. One of the things that you just said that I wrote down, which I think is a great place for us to land before we end our time together, and that is skill sets versus mindsets. And one of the things that we know, and you just pointed it out, all these people with degrees or all of these things that they know, and are able to do. Yet, if we don't have a healthy mindset, which is what leadership is all about, then it holds us back from truly being effective, from truly stepping into our potential. And again, as we think about leadership as a mindset as opposed to a skill set, I always say that's where transformation happens, because then people truly are ready to step into and use all of those skill sets that we're doing all of this training around. Yep, go
Mindset is
ahead.
huge. Mindset, like when we have growth mind, if we have fixed mindset, we don't take risks, right? We feel disappointed. We stay in stagnation. It's everything you mentioned. When I work with children and parents, or sometimes, when I work with families, I get to like work with both. Uh, when they're like, we shift into growth mindset, they're like, oh wow, I haven't been doing that. And you know what? That is the question I'm often asked: why I wish I knew that before. And the other question, I'm here like I know every day, so that's why I kind of started doing this work. Like, why don't we teach this at school?
Yes. Yes. I absolutely agree. And with our courses out there, we actually don't see leadership courses for our staff or for our children, which was demonstrated when we first started today. When I asked people how many actually do leadership training or development with staff or have gone through it themselves outside of being in a leadership position. So, Anna, again, I really appreciate you being here. We've had great conversation, having so much fun talking to everybody. Definitely going to have you back again. And before we stop, though, I want you to just spend a minute or two talking about the work that you do. And while you do that, my partner Valerie is going to drop in a link to to oh my gosh, the thought just
The free
flew
gift,
out of my
yeah,
head. Thank you. the,
yeah,
the gift today. And can you share with us what that is?
yeah. So we had an amazing workshop last week on procrastination. I work with children right now with teenagers, and every second of them said that I'm like what what's in the gap for me right now is I'm procrastinating and I'm lacking motivation. So and we had just an amazing workshop on that last week. So I'll drop my gift to you is like the overview of what's behind procrastination because it can be technical part like we don't have the structure or we it can be emotional part, right? So just go ahead, it's for you guys. I will be honored and if you reach out to me if you have questions, if uh, for any feedback, if you found that useful. And I will just real quick tell you about the program that I offer.
Mhm.
It's called Strong Wings because I believe that our children get to develop strong wings and we get to allow them to do that. And so this program is to grow a successful, accomplished child who is emotionally, mentally, and physically healthy, who is relationally strong and academically successful, and has social capacities moving forward. Right. So as you said that everything is incorporated. When we make a small shift, other areas in life change as well.
I love it. And so, just a thought, I know you've had it before, Anna, but you might need to expand the program for us adults.
It's for kids and parents. I will tell you honestly here and vulnerably that sometimes parents ask me to work with kids, right? And at some point, I see that the pattern comes from the family, and I just kindly suggest that we work with parents as well. And this is where those aha moments come from, and it
Mhm.
just makes the work efficient. For I don't want you like you know I don't want you guys to stay with me for years.
Right.
I think a good coach or good teacher is that gives you the tools and you guys operate with those tools by yourself. And it's not, I'm not interested in just in keeping like, you, and I want to empower children, parents, and families.
Thank you. And again, folks, in the chat is a link to the handout that Anna was talking about in terms of procrastination, and also is her email if you want to connect with her. So Anna, I'm going to stop us here and say again, thank you for joining our summit today. I really appreciate you taking the time out. We had fantastic conversation, and I look forward to having more with you.
Thank you so much, Jedra, and thank the audience for showing the interest, for being here. It means that you care. So thank you for that. And Dedra, I know it's a hard work to organize that. I just express you all my gratitude for offering this platform.
You're very, very welcome, Anna. Thank you.